Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. We love to dig into those fascinating corners of history and culture that often get overlooked.
Yeah, those little details that can really shift your perspective, right?
Exactly. And today, we're tackling a concept that's so ingrained in our language, we rarely even stop to question it.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
We're talking about the idea that Mexico is America too.
Huh. Okay, at first glance, that might seem kind of obvious. Mexico's part of North America. Case closed.
Right. But here's the thing. How often do people really mean the entire continent when they say America? Think about it.
Now that you mention it, not so much. It's almost like America has become synonymous with just the USA.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today. Why is that? Where did this perception come from? And what are the implications?
Sounds like a pretty loaded question, honestly.
Oh, it definitely is. We'll be exploring it from historical, linguistic, and cultural angles, drawing on some really insightful sources to unravel this common misconception.
All right, I'm ready to get my hands dirty. Where do we start?
Well, let's rewind the clock a bit. How did the term America even come about in the first place?
So we got to go all the way back to the 1500s, the age of exploration. You've got these European explorers and map makers charting this new world. It's a whole new ballgame for them.
Uncharted territory, literally.
Exactly. And they eventually land on the name America after Amerigo Vespucci, an Italian explorer. Now here's where things get interesting. Vespucci primarily explored South America, not the North.
So from the get-go, the term America actually applied to the entire landmass, north and south.
That's right. It wasn't this North versus South distinction we often make today. America encompassed it all.
Fascinating. So how did the U.S. kind of monopolize the term then?
Well, as the U.S. rose to global prominence, especially in the 19th and 20th centuries, its influence, both culturally and politically, was undeniable. Think Hollywood, American music, U.S. foreign policy. It all projected a very specific image of America onto the world stage.
Right, and that image often overshadowed the rest of the continent, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's like when you hear American culture, certain images immediately pop into your head. And they're not usually mariachi bands or tango dancers.
It's interesting, though, how language plays into all this.
Oh, language is key here. It reveals so much about how different cultures perceive the world. In Spanish, for instance, people from the U.S. are often called estadounidenses, which translates to United Statesian.
United States. Wow, I've never heard that before.
It's a mouthful, right? But the point is, Americano, in Spanish, has a broader meaning. It refers to anyone from North, Central, or South America.
So the very words we use can actually reinforce that U.S.-centric view without us even realizing it.
Precisely. And this isn't just some academic debate either. It has real-world consequences. Let's take international relations as an example. During the Cold War, the U.S. often used America as a shorthand for its own interests.
I see what you're saying. It's almost like other countries within the Americas were getting sidelined in those conversations.
Right. Their perspectives and needs weren't always given equal weight. And this had a huge impact on policy decisions and alliances formed during that era.
I never really considered how that subtle difference in language could have such a profound impact on the world stage.
It's a domino effect, and it doesn't stop there. Think about media coverage. How often do headlines use America when they really just mean the U.S.?
Oh, all the time. It's so commonplace we barely even register it anymore.
But it's subtly reinforcing this notion that the U.S. is the center of the continent. It's like looking at a map with a giant spotlight shining on the U.S. while the rest of the Americas are left in the shadows.
That's such a powerful visual, and it makes you realize how much we might be missing out on by viewing the continent through this narrow lens.
Exactly. A whole tapestry of cultures and perspectives is getting obscured. And this brings us to the cultural angle. This U.S.-centric view of America can lead to a real lack of awareness and understanding of the incredible diversity across the Americas.
We end up simplifying complex histories and overlooking the unique contributions of other cultures. It's like we're operating with an incomplete map, both literally and figuratively.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's crucial to recognize America as a vibrant and diverse continent, teeming with unique cultures, languages, and histories.
A continent of many Americas, really.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what would you say is the most important takeaway for our listeners?
I think the key is mindfulness. We need to be aware of our language and recognize that America carries different meanings in different contexts. Understanding those nuances can help us challenge our own assumptions and appreciate the true richness and diversity of the Americas.
Well said. So folks, Here's something to chew on. If someone from Brazil told you they were American, would you be surprised? Why or why not? Think about it. That's our deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us.